タビュー。
I mean, I'm a huge fan of like Japanese manga and anime. So me and my fiance, or wife now at this point, because we just got married, we run a little anime shop here in Miami that I do called Otaku Comics and Games. So we have anime stuff and like all the different manga from a lot of different like popular titles and things like that. But then also we have a lot of board games as well. So we do board game nights, and we're doing like Dungeons and Dragon nights and things like that. So we have like cosplay days where people can come dressed up as characters and you get like a discount at the store and stuff, and it's fun. Yeah, it was our first time in Japan, and like we decided to stay in Akihabara just because we have the anime shop, so we wanted to like check out all the different anime stuff and maybe make some different connections. But we did a lot of buying gachapon because we're huge fans of that, and we bought a ton of anime stuff and manga and things like that to bring back to America and have as like things to like check out and sell in our store as well. The food was so good. We would just go into the convenience stores all the time, the 7-Elevens and Lawson's and Family Mart, and like everything was so good everywhere we went. It's just the care and the craftsmanship even behind like the stuff that you find at convenience stores is just so good, you know? Well, the thing is, like, I love 4X games. I love Twilight Imperium. I love Eclipse. I love Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. I love a lot of that style games. I love Masters of Orion, which is like the video 4X game. But it's hard as like a responsible adult a lot of times. So Last Light is a fast-paced 4X game set right before the heat death of the universe. You're all taking your turns simultaneously, trying to gather light to win the games. But you're still making those meaningful decisions because it's not like a real-time game. I played Twilight Imperium used to be my favorite game for like the longest time. I loved it. But it was really hard for me to get it to the table. Like it would be one of those things like, it's my birthday. Like I'll play it on my birthday because that's the only time I can actually talk people into spending that long of a time playing it. But I tried to give a lot of that feeling and flair in Last Light. Yeah, it's crazy. We could have gone with all sorts of different flavors, but they ended up making it taste like plastic. That's crazy, you know. So, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of aesthetics in games. When I play a game, I want to be like almost transported into that world. People can play it and be transported into this world of spinning planets and spaceships flying around, blasting your opponents. I just want people to have fun in a quick amount of time. For me, that was another reason I just really wanted the game to stand apart. And I enjoy area control games. I like games where you have dudes on maps, like fighting each other and battling over, like Risk style or like Twilight Imperium or like all these other different like battling games. Stuff like that had these cool things where there's area controls, you're controlling those areas and taking them over. But a lot of times you end up fighting like your neighbors or fighting people that are beside you. And it's hard to move around the board. Sometimes it's like, oh, I'm always fighting the person to my left or my right. In Last Light, I made it very much where with this rotating board, which not only mimics a star system, you know, it makes sense that planets are rotating around their star because that's what happens in reality in space. But it also makes it so that you're always fighting someone new because the game is set up very much where people are racing to the very middle to try to gain light from the star. But as you're going towards the middle, there's always somebody new in the way because the way the planets rotate around. And it makes it really hard to just, so many games you can lock down an area and like turtle and like, I control this planet, it's mine. Well, it's easy to control the planet when it's right beside your like colony ship or where you started. But once it floats to the other side of the board, it's really hard to keep control of a planet that's all the way over there, which just gives you this whole different headspace of like, oh yeah, if my planet was flying away from my other planets, it'd be hard to like keep it together. And it just really makes sense for space and just another way for the game to be set apart from other area control style games. People that don't know what it is, when they just walk by, they're immediately like, I want to play that next, you know? It's just really exciting to see how well the game has been received by so many people. For the Dice Tower Awards, I won Best New Designer, so that was super exciting. Like, I was crying on stage, like trying to like gain my award, just because like it was such a monumental thing that I never thought like I'd be able to achieve. So I just love the fact that a game that has a lot of those old school like get out of each other's throats like competitive style game was able to do so well in the market with a whole bunch of different people. I honestly think that the design part wasn't as hard. I'm a huge fan of board games, and I've played so many different ones, and I had like this vision going into this of like what to make. And of course, there was a lot of playtesting involved and like trying to figure out exactly how I wanted things to feel. I wanted to feel like a gigantic fun romp of just going in there and attacking each other and gaining light and doing all that stuff really quickly. But the biggest thing was trying to get the game to production. You know, I had a little bit of a name for myself in the industry from doing board game media, but then this was my first time design, you know? So the whole pitching process and everybody I showed it to, everybody I pitched it to loved it. But then the whole fact that it had this crazy rotating board and like gigantic planets and all of this stuff made some publishers shy away from the production of it, of like how big and grandiose it is. I know at CMON, you guys have tons of big grandiose games with like miniatures and all of that different stuff. So you guys are a fan of that style of stuff. But some like more European designers are like, oh, well, why aren't these ships like little wooden cubes? Or why isn't this like flat discs, you know? So depending on who you're pitching a game to, they might not see the need for it to be as grandiose. But I love a game that looks like that, and I love a game that has that table presence that can draw people in. So I'm so stoked that my publisher Gray Fox, who originally has the game, like bought into that vision, ended up helping me make it come to life. And it's cool that CMON is now bringing it to a wider audience in Japan. And it's very interesting because different types of players can play the game in very different ways. You know, you can play the game and try to build up an engine and like not necessarily attack and go out there and try to like build up your economy and do a lot of the resource management stuff and then win the game by figuring out how to control the right planets. But then other players can be like, well, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to try to mess up this or do this or change this and like try to control these things and fight over this stuff. There's a lot of different ways different players can approach the game. I've seen games with tons of combat and conflict all over the place. And I've seen games that are very much strategic and plotting and being like trying to strategically move things around. And there's no necessarily right way besides like getting light as fast as possible. Any way that can get you light in the game is how you win, because light are the victory points, you know? So you can kind of approach the game how you enjoy playing it. It's really cool that something I created and something that I made is going to be introduced to the audience there in Japan. So I'm really excited to see how well it gets received, just because like I feel like Japan has given me so many things to be excited about. Hopefully I can give Japan something back to be excited about, you know?